Hey everyone, Hassan here. You are listening to the NintendoFuse podcast. Today is January 8th, 2018. Happy New Year. This is episode number 144 titled It's Prediction Time. So I am joined here today with the usual NintendoFuse crew. We have Steve here with me.
Hey everyone, I'm here and is my microphone working?
Yes.
No? Can you hear me? Okay, that's weird because we've had so many technical issues. It's kind of crazy, but yeah, I couldn't see myself, so I should make sure. But hey, how's it going? Happy New Year.
Cool. And we have Greg here with us.
Hey everyone, no technical issues for me.
You just jinxed it, Greg. Hopefully nothing more. And Barry.
Happy New Year, guys. Unfortunately, I was plagued with technical issues as well. But we got everything ironed out, so we're good to go.
Great way to start off 2018. So let's hope we go from here. Hopefully. So this podcast, for those that don't know, is a very interactive podcast. NintendoFuse is all about the community, right? And so same with the podcast. We want to have the community involved in what we do. And so we are live streaming on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/NintendoFuse via Google Hangouts. And also on TalkShoe, you can hear the audio as well. So shout out to Sergeant Bilby in the TalkShoe chat. And on the YouTube side of things, shout out to Jefferson and Steve, as well as Mike. So to anybody in any of those chats, feel free to post your comments and we will read them as we go through the podcast. We'd love to hear your thoughts as well. And to anybody that wants details on how to join in the future, if you're on one or the other, NintendoFuse.com has the full details. You can even, via TalkShoe, actually call in to the podcast if you would be so inclined. So we've had a couple guests. It's been a little while, but it'd be fun to hear from some people if you ever get the chance to do that. So the details on how to do that are on NintendoFuse.com. So definitely go check that out. So 2018, we are here. New year, really exciting. We ended the last year with our Game of the Year episode, basically, and I'm repping our Game of the Year winner with my, for anybody watching on the video, got my Zelda hat right here. Yeah, it looks like Barry's got some Zelda as well. I got this from the Nintendo store in New York over the holidays, so that was pretty cool. But if you have not checked that out, go check that out. Great year. 2017 was fantastic, but we're here to talk 2018. So today it's going to be all about our predictions for the year, what we think is going to happen from Nintendo. So to kick things off, I'm going to kind of preface it by saying that there's this rumor about a certain Nintendo Direct coming up, and that may involve a lot of these predictions that we sort of have. So there's been a January Direct that's been rumored for quite a while. There's been a couple of potential leaks and things saying that something's coming in January. They've done January stuff before. But more specifically, there's been a couple of folks that have been pretty reliable in the past that have come out and said January 11th, which is this Thursday, will potentially be the Nintendo Direct. Now, that being said, if they follow the pattern of things and they announce things potentially 2 days earlier, rather, then that would be January 9th, which is tomorrow. And if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, it's a very, very frequent pattern that right after a podcast, there's a Nintendo Direct announcement or a Nintendo Direct. And so that would be tomorrow, potentially January 9th or January 11th being the actual Direct. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think this January 11th Direct, is that plausible? I feel like, going by our track record, I feel like it is.
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility for sure. I mean, it never fails. I think probably we need to go back sometime and figure out our actual statistics, but I don't know. It happens quite often. Nothing, that's just superstition sort of thing. But I think we haven't really had a full Nintendo Direct in a while. There've been some game specific ones, and so yeah, I'm excited to see what's probably going to happen this month. If it doesn't happen this month, it's got to happen next month because there's a lot of titles that we normally know a little more information about. So it's got to be happening sometime soon.
Yeah, I'm definitely in the same situation. I feel like they would need to have something on their plates to say like, "Hey, guess what? This is coming." I don't think it'll be tons of groundbreaking, brand new stuff, but it'll at least be on details of stuff we already know, kind of what's coming, like some of those last 3DS titles and all that kind of stuff that we'll get into.
Yeah, I think it if it's not this month, it has to be next month because I think there's gonna be one for the spring stuff and or at least the early spring stuff. Probably one again in April for the later spring stuff, and then June is E3. So it'd be like 2 months in between each, or every other month have a direct. I think that's good. And they just came off of such a hot holiday season. They need to address that. Like they need to at least come out there and just say thank you to all these new Switch owners. Some people who haven't had a Nintendo system since the 64 or the GameCube. Like, hey, here's what we have in store for you. Now that you bought it, now that you have all of 2017's great titles, here's what's coming in 2018. Because I think it was a tweet by someone from Nintendo of America that said, 2018 is going to be really, really great. And of course, that could all just be PR talk, but my hopes up.
Yeah, absolutely. I also want to shout out Jakester, the Knight of Darkness, and Nitro Flame 250 in the YouTube chat. So welcome as well. So there's a lot to talk about. So let's start with a piece of information that I don't know if necessarily they'll talk about this in a direct or not, but they kind of tweeted this out, a little announcement of the Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons for Splatoon. As you know, they have green and pink Joy-Cons, neon green and neon pink. So they are being released standalone this month. But what's interesting about this is Japan and Europe got the standalone releases, and they had the left Joy-Con being neon green and the right Joy-Con being neon pink. Then when it came over to America in a bundle with the Nintendo Switch, which is currently in America the only way to get the green and pink Joy-Cons, it was the same ones, neon green on the left and neon pink on the right. However, the standalone Joy-Cons are the opposite. The left Joy-Con is neon pink and the right Joy-Con is neon green. So finally, we can have a complete set of neon green and neon pink Joy-Cons. So to anybody that got the Splatoon 2 bundle in America, or if you're like me and imported those Joy-Cons from Japan or Europe, then now you can get these ones and get the complete set. So we know that that's coming this month. I don't know if they'll talk about that in a direct or not, but I don't know. Are you guys excited about the Joy-Cons? Are you getting any more colors of them? However many they end up releasing this year?
I finally decided to go ahead and make the jump and imported some red ones. So they actually should get here tomorrow or the next day. And I found them on Amazon actually. After waiting a long time, I ended up getting them on Amazon instead of PlayAsia. And in the end, I didn't have to pay shipping, and they were like $2 more than if I would have bought a regular set of Joy-Cons in an American store. So I decided to go ahead and go for that. But I probably won't get the pink and green ones. Red. I was holding out, not getting any at all. The red ones look really cool. That's probably what I'll stick with for now. Is my built-in gray ones that I got when I got the system, and then the red ones.
Yeah, I don't feel the need to splurge on any additional Joy-Cons. I haven't had to use my additional set so far. I got the neon set, and so then obviously I got the reverse one standalone. So then I have a complete blue and a complete red set. So I'm still having fun playing with both blues, and then sometimes I'll swap them out for both reds.
Yeah, I'm still sitting on my gray ones that came with the system. I've just switched off between my two Pro controllers. When one dies, I immediately swap to the other. I'm waiting when there's a green. That's not a neon green, not where I have to buy a pink as well to get a full set. When I could just get a nice like hunter green set, I'll probably get that. And if they come out with a purple one, my wife will probably be like, "Oh, I want that." But I rarely play in handheld, and when it's docked, I always use the Pro controllers. So for me, it's not worth the $80 or whatever it is for a new set right now. I think it's great that it's coming, especially for people like you, Hassan, who are Joy-Con crazy with all your colors. I'm happy for you. I'm happy for the people that are interested in that. It's just not for me, not right now.
Right. I do like the fact that they do offer so many color options because it has been a while. I mean, they did that with the Wii a little bit. It took a little while for them to really delve into some of the colors, especially the Mario and Peach and those special ones. But it's nice that right out the gate they're kind of releasing a whole bunch of these colors. And I even saw a video the other day. I don't know how I missed it. That Nintendo of Europe posted like a little promo video, just showcasing some of their games. But it was showing like a whole bunch of the Joy-Con colors, and it was like flashing between all the different color combinations and stuff. So they're really like promoting all the color choices for the Joy-Con. So that's definitely pretty cool. Although Nitro Flame 250 says in Canada, a pair of Joy-Cons costs $100 plus GST. So they can get expensive in some countries, definitely. So do consider importing because as Steve said, even it's pretty affordable to import from Amazon or elsewhere. Like it's actually not too bad. So do consider that. So let's talk games. 2018, in terms of starting off the year in the coming months, what right now we don't really have a set time frame for when some of these games are coming out. Aside from Bayonetta, the re-release of 1 and 2 is in February, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So the only other games I think for early 2018 that we know really are Yoshi and Kirby, I think, right? And then we have other games for 2018, like I think there's a Fire Emblem game, but we just don't know when yet. So how do you think 2018 is going to play out in the next couple months? Like, is Yoshi going to release like in 2 weeks? Like, is it, like are we getting a January game or a February game? What do you guys think?
I really don't know. And I was actually, as I was trying to prepare and everything for our podcast tonight, I was like, what? I had to like refresh my memory about like what actually is coming up, and I couldn't remember anything. And finally looking at the list, it was like, oh, well, there's not much that we know about yet. I think we talked about before, Nintendo did so much in 2017 that we really only have very few definite things in 2018, and a lot of other just speculation. Like we're hoping that some other games come out, but we don't know. We know that Metroid Prime 4 is somewhere down the list. We're hoping it's 2018. We're hoping that there's, the actual Pokemon game comes out. But really, the only ones we definitely know for sure is like Kirby and Yoshi for the very beginning of the year. And I think that's okay from a business standpoint because they had so many good things in 2017 that really can carry it. But we do need to see some news. So I'm hoping there is that Nintendo Direct soon that we can know, okay, this is what we to look forward to, even though if it's not going to be in the first 3 months of the year, we know that hit June, July, August, or whatever, we got these other games to look forward to. So yeah, I'm excited to see what Yoshi does. I'm a big fan of Yoshi, but Kirby not so much, just because it's not my thing. I think a Runner 3 or Runner 4, whichever one, forget.
3, I think. Yeah.
3. Is coming out, I think, near the beginning of the year. So that'd be cool. But I think I've kind of, unfortunately, I'm done with the Endless Runner thing for right now. I think it maybe because of iOS games, it just kind of killed it for a while. Mario jumped in there, and you get all these other different games with the Endless Runner stuff. And so and Runner 3's really got to be something really new and different, I think, to get me to really be excited about it again. Because I was really excited about the Trip Runner 1, and then Runner 2 was great. But yeah, I'm kind of almost over that now, unless they really, really pick it up and do something exciting and new. But if it's just going to be the same thing with new paint, I'll probably pass this time.
Gotcha. What about you, Greg?
Yeah, I've never been in Woolly World and whatnot. So definitely looking forward to the next Yoshi adventure. One that Steve did mention, that the Project Octopath Traveler will probably be coming out, I think, pretty early this year too. They had that demo last year, and I really enjoyed the demo. So definitely looking forward to seeing the full version of the game. That's from Square Enix, of course. So there's some RPG stuff coming down the line as well. But yeah, other than those other games, I don't really know too much coming on early this year. It's just purely speculation.
Yeah, we're at a very interesting point where it's like there's a lack of information, but there's just enough to keep us intrigued. Unlike Greg and unlike Steve, I am a huge Kirby fan, so I am looking forward to Kirby. In fact, Kirby is going to bring me back to the 3DS this month. There's a new Kirby game coming out, so I'm like, oh, okay, I actually get to pick that up. Forgot about
Dust
that.
it off, charge it up.
Yeah, oh no, it's been plugged in, waiting. But this month, I'm going to attempt to do Rocket League, which comes out physically next week, which I know Steve will be happy about. That all depends on the randomness of Xenoblade Chronicles 2. That's the worst part of that game. Almost 300 hours in at this point, still going.
That's so much time.
I know, it's so good though. There's so much stuff. Oh, you know what? Honestly, if I could retract my game of the year, it would beat Zelda. That tells you something. It's so good. But also coming out this month that neither of you mentioned is Lost Sphere, which is done by the I Am Setsuna team. And I really enjoyed I Am Setsuna. I'm looking forward to this. I know it is a Square Enix online store exclusive for physical, so I got my pre-order. So if you're listening and you want to pre-order, you got to go there. Kirby and Yoshi will probably be early. They're definitely before E3. I would be shocked if both those titles land after E3. As for Metroid, Pokemon, Fire Emblem, Bayonetta 3, they're all poised to be an amazing holiday. And if all four of those titles hit holiday, that's going to be awesome. And I was talking with one person, like, oh, when's Smash coming? You know, they're possibly delayed the online. How about they delay it for Smash? I don't think Smash needs to be 2018, and I'm a huge Smash fan. They don't need it. They can save it for 2019. They have enough going for them, and especially.
But I want it in 2018.
I know. I want it too, but I'm trying to think as a business standpoint here. And honestly, there's one other thing that they can do, in addition to all these titles that we know about, in addition to the ones that they know about that haven't announced yet, is, and I hate to say this, and I know some people are going to be like, oh no, but what Wii U ports. I know we have Bayonetta 1 and 2 coming out next month, but honestly, there's such a wealth of great Wii U titles that they haven't touched to bring over that just haven't been played, or they can one-up them. And what I mean by that is not just like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but like they can bring Pikmin 3 over. But instead of just being Pikmin 3, make it Pikmin Collection with 1, 2, and 3. Get people hyped, because remember, Pikmin 4 has been in development for how many years? That could come out this year. A lot of people have forgotten about that. And hey, Pikmin was not Pikmin 4. They can do things like that. They can bring over the new Super Mario U and new Super Luigi U and bring those out with a brand new 2D Mario game. Or Mario Maker. They could bring that over. I know that would make Greg so very happy, with new content, and maybe do like Mario 2 and other skins like that. There's also some of these third parties like Square and Capcom have just pledged support, and I've heard Activision and EA have retracted what they stated, and they're now pledging support after these sales. But imagine Square just coming out and being like, hey, we got, Mario RPG 2. Like, hey, we're rejuvenating. After Mario and Rabbids did so well, let's do Mario RPG 2. And let's not forget Mega Man 11. No one mentioned that. Mega Man 11 is coming this year, along with Legacy Collection 1 and 2, and X 1 to 8. So there's a lot of stuff still coming out this year. And I feel like it may not be huge announcements for everybody, but it kind of gets swept up and people forget about certain things. But there is already a lot we know about in 2018. And Nintendo being so close to the chest with a lot of their secrets, they got stuff. 2018 is going to be awesome. That's my prediction right there.
Well, I didn't know we were jumping into the speculative part of it. Otherwise, I would have gladly taken the helm on Mario Maker Deluxe. I'm still a huge fan of the community and follow it all the time. And I think with like Miiverse dying and everything, I think that it might be time to bring it over to the Switch to get those other people off of the Wii U and fully onto the Switch. So
Yeah.
I almost was going to say that might even be shown in the tentative direct, but with the early before E3 type of release.
Yeah, it would get. I think if they did bring over Super Mario Maker to the Switch, that like it would definitely like. I think the timing needs to be right for that release, because if it's done at the right time, you could get a ton of people, like you said, Greg, that have been holding on to the Wii U and still playing that, but haven't actually got a Switch yet. Not that they need, like, because it's already selling like crazy. But if they time it just right, they could really just capitalize on those people that have been holding back, and then all of a sudden boost sales quite a bit because it just had quite the following, and it could really kind of carry sales on to like the next level that they need.
Yep, because I know it's still like a highly watched video game on YouTube, and there's still people creating all sorts of crazy levels and still interacting very thoroughly through. So they've really enjoyed the game, and there's even like campaigns to beat every single level that's been uploaded. So there's a lot of stuff like that going on.
There's another thing too none of us touched on, and that is the Bravely Default Twitter account tweeted out a photo for the holidays that showed Adia holding Joy-Cons with Project Octopath Traveler pins, and that very well could be a Bravely Default, Bravely Second port. That could be Bravely Third. That could be both of those. That could be Bravely in Project Octopath. Project Octopath may turn into Bravely Third. There's so many things, it could be. But I really hope, if you haven't played the Bravely games, they do go to Switch, because they're awesome, and I would love a Bravely Third. They left it open.
Right, and also speaking of teases for Switch, I was gonna say Kamiya, who helped Platinum Games with Bayonetta. At the same time that there were certain teases of Bayonetta, there were teases of the Wonderful 101. So potentially a re-release of that, or the Wonderful 102. So there's been a lot of teases, I think, from a lot of potential games that could be returning in some form, either through sequels or re-releases or something. I think there's a lot of potential there for the Switch.
Yeah, I got a question though, like because I know different people have different opinions on this. I'm curious to. I think we've briefly talked about this in the past, but in terms of re-releases or sequels or like HD remixes or whatever, like what would you actually prefer in general? I know sometimes it's based on different games and stuff, but like Splatoon, we got Splatoon 2, but in other games like Mario Kart Deluxe, it was just kind of a beefed up version of the original 8. If they're going to do those Wii U games and kind of make them new and fresh again, would you prefer a sequel, or would you prefer just like an HD remix or something like that of it?
I would definitely more prefer a sequel, even like for Mario Maker. I think that tends to hold out more. I think if you're just going to be re-releasing it, it's not quite an incentive to quite pick it up. I think Mario Kart was kind of in the idea that we didn't know exactly when ARMS and Splatoon was coming. We didn't know how far off all those other games were. So it was kind of like I think I'm ready for a new game, and I can re-pick up Mario Kart. And I mean, Mario Kart is Mario Kart, so it's obviously a high seller franchise as is. But I mean, I don't know the sales numbers for the Pokken tournament, but I don't know if that even comes close to how Mario Kart 8 did.
No, it came nowhere near. Mario Kart 8 did over 3 million before holiday. Pokken tournament was not a million. As for your question, Steve, it's no contest. I would much prefer a new game, because it's a new game versus a remake. However, I do think that there's room for both. I think you can take a team of Nintendo could hire a brand new team and give them the first assignment of porting a game from the Wii U to the Switch. Get used to the Switch, get used to how that game works, and then use the engine that they develop and that they work on for a new game. Ports definitely fill in gaps, especially with the Wii U being as big of a failure as it was. There was a lot of people that never had a chance to play these games. Like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was smart strategically to get it out early, because it gave people a Mario Kart, which is a system seller. I do not think it's going to stop Mario Kart 9. In fact, I would be very surprised if there's no Mario Kart 9 or Mario Kart insert subtitle here exclusively to the Switch because of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I think that would be a huge misstep. I mean, if you look at previous iterations where you have Twilight Princess on the Wii that didn't stop Skyward Sword. You had Ocarina of Time 3D on the 3DS that didn't stop Link Between Worlds. So there's very real that we will get another Mario Kart. Bayonetta is another example. They're doing Bayonetta 3, but they're also bringing 1 and 2. That's what I think. I think we need to get the ports as well as the new stuff. Like Splatoon 2 made sense to not have Splatoon 1. You know, I would be fine with Mario Maker 2 instead of Mario Maker DX and just take the existing stuff and add to it. There's no reason to reinvent the wheel. Even Smash Brothers. They announced Smash Brothers 5. The smartest thing they could do is take Smash 4 for Wii U, use that as a template, and just add to it. If they cut characters, it's going to annoy people. If they cut modes, that's going to annoy people. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's the saying. They got a template. Now put, you know, like Smash, for example, how many years was that in development? Like 3-4 years? Take that 3-4 years, start there, and then add another 3-4 years of development. Now it's like a 6-year development game. You know, they have all these wonderful templates for them, especially with the Wii U's failure, that they can use to propel. Because I've talked with so many people, like, oh, this is my first Nintendo system in a long time. You know, they missed all the great GameCube games, all the N64, all the Wii games, and all the Wii U games. You know, capitalize on that. And I think they're doing that, and I think they're doing it well.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. And I think it makes sense to bring some of those ports on early on in the Switch lifetime to kind of help fill in those gaps as well, keep the momentum going, get the interest going in the franchise, and then follow it up with sequels. I mean, of course, I would prefer new games, new content, you know, but I think there's definitely room for both. I do want to mention a couple comments from the chats as well. So Sergeant Bilby said 4 Switch games of 2018 on his radar are Blade Strangers, Musinks, Pac-Man Championship Edition 2 Plus, and Mini Metro. So a couple of games that we did not mention. Steve Desmarais, when we were talking about Yoshi and Kirby, he said that I think Kirby started on a roll in development. So that's why we got a new trailer title. But at E3, we had gotten Yoshi gameplay, so I don't know which is further along in development and will release first, which is a good question. I'm not sure exactly which one of those will come first, but I do agree that I feel like both of them will be in the first half of the year because we've seen them a couple times, and I think a January Direct will probably solidify release dates and give us those specifics, but I definitely expect them coming up soon. In terms of ports and stuff as well, you know, when we're talking about it, I kind of agree and disagree on some of the things that have been mentioned already, in the sense that I think this year we will see a Super Mario Maker release of some sort. I don't know. I also feel like the definition of a port or a remaster and a sequel and all that, I feel like a lot of the as well. Let's say like Splatoon 2 in name, you know, as a sequel. You take Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I mean, it's not a straight. I mean, I guess it's a port, but there's a couple of new things. You know, like they're kind of blurring the definition of some of these as well. So I feel like with Mario Maker, I mean, they could kind of bring the game over, maybe add some stuff to it. I don't know what they would call it necessarily, but whatever you want to term it, I feel like it'll kind of be an in-between sort of thing. But I definitely feel like that will come this year. And I also think Smash Brothers is going to come this year. And I think, you know, if you look at some of the folks that also had some pretty good sources that kind of were talking about Switch things before the system launched, there were a handful of games that they were saying were coming at launch or close to launch. One of them was a new 3D Mario, which obviously was Odyssey, and it was, you know, in the holidays, but you know, you could say that it was kind of pushed to give Zelda some time. But Mario Maker was mentioned, Smash Brothers was mentioned. Perhaps those get tabled for later releases, but I honestly still think they could come this year. And Nintendo's been pretty good about keeping steady releases, and they need things to fill in the gaps. And I think those are games that will be big sellers before the holidays, and then you come into the holidays with, perhaps a new Animal Crossing and just totally dominate. So we'll see.
I just hope the guy who named stuff is gone, because otherwise, you know what we're going to get? We're going to get Super Mario Maker for Nintendo Switch, because that's the naming convention they took, for the 3DS. Smash Brothers for 3DS. Like, that's what we're going to get, and that's going to be terrible, because then you don't know if it's really a sequel or not.
It's true, but I guess I was going to say, like, I don't know that it necessarily, the definitions of a sequel or a port or not really matter per se. It's more like if there's some sort of new content, to me and you, it might, not all of it may be new because we played it before, but to folks it might be new. I don't know. I feel like the definitions of those are really going to get blurred a lot this year.
Well, I think especially when you're talking about games like Smash Brothers, for instance, like that's more of just a fighting game. Like, now I understand, like, like Street Fighter, for instance, they actually do have clear, lines that have been drawn between one version to the next. But it has been happening with Smash Brothers as well. But does it really have to? Like, can they just release a Switch version of Smash Brothers and just call it Smash Brothers for Nintendo Switch? And really, because we've talked about this before, like, some games almost have, they haven't perfected it, but they've come really, really close to giving us the version that it really should be. And if they just kind of tweak it to make it even better for the Nintendo Switch and just give it that name, some games I'm okay with that. Games like, fighting games or racing games and stuff like that, you need new levels and things like that. But if it's basically the same game with just some tweaks and updated, that's cool with me. But if it's a game like, traditional Mario game or Zelda or whatever, yes, give me a new plot, give me new objectives, and make it a full out sequel. But for some of those, I'm more okay if they just kind of tweak it a little bit and just enhance it.
I'm calling it now, Steve, that if they announce Super Smash Brothers for Nintendo Switch and all it is a port of the Wii U version with nothing added, or like maybe just one character added, there's going to be riots. It's been how many years? When did Smash come out? 2013? 2012? 13.
I think it was 14.
No, it wasn't 14. Was it? Maybe it was 14. I don't know. Either way, so let's say it's 14. So we have 3 years since it came out. 3 years. And if it comes out, let's say Hassan's right, and it comes out the fall of 18, that's 4 years. 4 years in development, and they give us like one character. Like, no, like that's unacceptable. Like, they need to add a lot to it. If it came out a year later, I could accept it. But at this point, people are clamoring for a Smash 5. People want to see Inklings. People want to see, Rex. People want to see ARMS characters. They want to see new characters. They want to see new franchises represented and new third-party characters. Like what Bomberman? Where's Bomberman? Stuff like that. If none of that's added, then people will be like, I could just play this on my Wii U 4 years ago. Like, why should I give you more money?
Well, and then you get people that don't even have a Wii U. But I think I think there's a lot of people that would be happy, though, and I think myself included, really, if they just added new characters and some new stages. They don't really even have to spend much time upgrading the graphics at all. It looked fine already.
Well, I agree.
Just give us the new characters and new stages, and that would be enough for me. I'm
just saying it has to be substantial.
One more, but several more would be good enough for me.
It's got to be substantial. It's got to be a good chunk, enough to feel like a real add-on to the game. And a single-player mode would be pretty good, too. Let's bring back Subspace Emissary, That would be nice to have some single-player content.
Right, but also I do...
I actually do see it Smash Brothers. I do see it more along the lines of the deluxe kind of thing. We'll just have all the DLC like they did for Mario Kart, and that might be just the game, but I certainly hope not. But I think a brand new entry is still kind of a couple years down the line. It's been kind of leaning towards like the end, towards like the middle end of the cycle of the console.
If they did just a Mario Kart 8 Deluxe style port, there would have to be a brand new Smash later on. Mario Kart 8 came out, several years ago, so they haven't been sitting there only doing the 8 Deluxe. They're definitely working on Mario Kart 9. They're just giving it some time in between. Again, it's been over 3 years now since Smash. No way they're just sitting there working on an enhanced port and that's it. Like, that would be a colossal waste of time.
Well, the thing about Smash, though, to keep in mind is they probably have not been working on Smash that many years because Sakurai has said that he did take a, like, he stopped working on the game after the last one came out for a while. So if anything is in the works, it was not in the works for the last few years. It might have just been the last year or so, or, you know, so Smash games do typically tend to have a longer time in between releases because Sakurai, I mean, he always talks about how much it really like wears on him. And he just, by the end of it is like, I'm done with the franchise. And he's kind of like, he puts like, you know, so much into it and stuff. So I can see them taking a lot of the existing like take the Smash run from the 3DS game, put that into the console version as well. You know, like combine things from the multiple games, bring back Ice Climbers and some of the, you know, some of the stuff that was in previous games, combine it all and add in a couple new things. Like at this point, you kind of have to have the Inklings, you know, like you just have to with how popular Splatoon is, add in some new stuff, that sort of thing. And then, of course, after a few years, bring in a new Smash. Yeah, I definitely think, I think if we don't get a Smash this year, I think it's going to be a few years before we get one, because then I think they're really going to be working on a full brand new Smash, which is why I'm still so convinced that it's coming this year. It has to. Like I feel like Smash Brothers and Animal Crossing have to come this year, or I'm just so lost and I don't know what Nintendo is doing, because I feel like we need that another competitive, like Nintendo's done really well with these competitive online multiplayer games lately, and they really seem to be focusing on it. Couple that in with their launch of their online service this year. Smash Brothers is perfect for that. Obviously, Animal Crossing with a mobile game like is perfect, but I don't know. I still think we'll see it, and I think we'll see Smash before the holidays, because I think Animal Crossing will be their big holiday seller. But we'll see.
I smell a wager going on.
What was that?
I smell a wager. I think we need to make a bet. We need to make a January bet for the year on Smash.
I'm just interested. I mean, you brought up the online thing, and I think that's just ridiculous. Like they're still putting it. I mean, I really hope that it turns out with this kind of delay, it better be amazing. But because it sucks right now. But I think with Animal Crossing and stuff, you do need that online connection, and I think it makes that game even better. And if they can capitalize upon the mobile game and even like incorporate that in, somehow connect it, that'd be even cooler, because that could be an even bigger draw for people. Maybe Animal Crossing all of a sudden becomes a system seller, because they're like, wow, I can take this camp that I've been building on my my iPhone, my Android phone for a while, and I can bring that into my Switch game and do even cooler stuff. That could be really awesome. And so maybe like that's one of the things one of the reasons they're putting off the online system, because maybe they're making it really cool to do that stuff. I doubt it, but maybe we'll see.
I'm not so sure about the connectivity, because they'll be like, oh, microtransactions on Switch. Like, oh, you want to speed this up? Oh, pay us $5.
Now, I think online's also going to launch with other things like Netflix and YouTube and stuff like that. If those things aren't here in 2018, that's a big misstep. We already have Hulu, but
yeah, it's weird that Hulu is on there, but the rest of them are kind of really lagging behind. I mean, like, I was actually surprised, and it just came out of nowhere too. It's like, boom, Hulu's here. I'm like, oh, well, that's cool. Where's the other stuff?
Right.
Like, I mean, not that it has to be there, because really games are big and we can play that stuff on everything else. But it's cool to have it. And I think even I realized when I was traveling for holidays, I got to the point where I was like, really cool that I could, just toss my Switch in my bag and just go. But then I was like, oh man, my both sides of my family, both my parents and my wife's dad, neither of them have Netflix or anything like that. They don't have anything really hooked up to the TV, like a box or anything. It's like, man, if only the Switch had Netflix and everything else on it, I wouldn't have to bring my Apple TV along with me. Not that that's that big of a deal, because it's like small little puck, but it would be cool to have it all on the Nintendo Switch, and I just toss it in there. Now, I think most people probably have other ways to watch that stuff, but it'd be really cool if it was on there. And I don't know. I mean, maybe they're holding off the whole thing, but to me, I mean, with Hulu being on there, I don't know why they couldn't just throw YouTube and Netflix on there already.
It's interesting. There's two things that we guys no one's mentioned yet for this year. One, which is smaller, which is the possibility of Nintendo buying Platinum, because if you remember, Microsoft canceled Scalebound, which almost bankrupted Platinum. Nier Automata is actually what saved them. And now with this announcement of Bayonetta 1 and 2 and Bayonetta 3, and obviously Nintendo's footing the bill, will we see Nintendo just flat out buy Platinum this year and say, you know, come second party? And the other thing, which I'm surprised none of you mentioned, because I'm the least likely member of this crew to mention, and the
And I was
three of
probably
you
about to mention it because
will definitely mention, which I'm shocked, is Virtual Console. Will we get that this year?
Well,
that's what my next question was, if you didn't interrupt.
Oh, sorry. Well, see, Greg would have got it. Okay. Well, at least that makes me feel better, because I'm shocked.
I was leading into it because I felt like it would go hand in hand. Because my thought is, honestly, I feel like initially, at least for a while, there isn't going to be a sort of virtual console as we've seen it in previous consoles. I think maybe next year or after that, like, it might come. But I think initially, the way to play the old games is going to be through that sort of subscription service tied into the online program, because I think Nintendo's going to want to promote that really and make that their key thing, and then maybe focus on separate standalone releases for sort of your special, like, you know, your arcade thing or your slight re-releases of certain, like the HD versions of, I don't know, like throw Wind Waker HD out there, or certain things like that. But your true classic games from the past, I think, like, will be tied into this subscription service. And to that end, maybe there are different levels. Maybe there's this price point just gets you online play. This price point gets you NES and Super Nintendo games. This price point gets you even, I don't know, N64 and GameCube games or something. Or, you know, like, maybe they have different levels of their online service.
But with the delay, do you think that would affect it?
What was that?
With the delay, do you think that will affect it, Hassan? Because you're talking about how you think Virtual Console is going to come out after the online to promote the online, but now that online's delayed, there's a gap now. Will they panic and release Virtual Console early to fill that gap where the online was supposed to come out?
Well, the online was delayed, I believe, just to 2018. They said, right? So
Until
I
fall,
honestly
I think.
Did they say fall 2018? Or was it?
I think it's like a Dutch or something reported, like it's fall now, 2018.
Yeah, I don't know if it's been officially confirmed, but yeah, people are. It's high speculation, but it hasn't been actually confirmed yet.
Yeah, because my prediction is actually that the online service is going to launch in spring or summer at the latest. I think, because I think, and again, going back to my Smash Brothers thing, like, I think Smash Brothers is going to come with it, because then they're going to leave the holidays open for Animal Crossing and potentially other games, which I want to talk about a little later as well. But I think their online service has been delayed enough, and Nintendo's going to want to get that infrastructure set in point. I mean, they've done a couple firmware updates and things. Like, I think they're going to start to solidify some of that and start making some money from the online service too, you know?
Yeah. I would see, I'd see what you said, Hassan, about, like, maybe the actual, like, what we know as a Virtual Console is probably put off. But I would see them probably starting off with NES games and maybe SNES games with the subscription model. And people have been wanting that for a long time. They've been saying, hey, they need some sort of, like, Netflix for old, Nintendo games. And I think that would be really cool for that. They're going to start off small, but and maybe that's one of the reasons why they've been putting it off so much, because they want to get as much as they can ported over to be ready for that. And then, maybe I would see, maybe they only limit that to SNES and lower or something. And I don't know if like it's whole tier thing, because they haven't really mentioned that. I mean, I guess they could always change their minds, but then I could see them actually having a Virtual Console for, like, maybe GameCube and newer or something, because maybe those aren't necessarily as classic games anymore, and so they would have the online service, really the older games, and then they'll be either porting it over to, like, some sort of Virtual Console, like the arcade thing, like you mentioned. I see that happening more. It'd be really cool still to be able to just download one of the NES games to my system and not have to worry about a subscription. but with as inexpensive as they're making it, it kind of seems like a no-brainer, and it's going to be a huge moneymaker for them to just keep in, month after month, raking the cash from us. So, I don't know.
I was going to say, I think, didn't they already kind of release like the price point for it? Like it was only going to be like the one amount, or well, I guess one amount for a year and one amount if you were to pay monthly. But I thought that was already kind of released. But maybe
I
I'm
think
wrong.
the prices have been set.
And I'm
You
sure
know what? I totally forgot about that.
I'm sure what Steve meant by as many titles as they can is like 5, because that's like how good Nintendo is at doing virtual console games.
And then they
like,
go away. They disappear it's just a rotating 5 games, so you never get to play the same ones again.
It's not the Wii era where they release like 5 or 6 games a week. They do the one a week, and that's usually too much for them. So
yeah, I really hope they don't go away. I know that's what a lot of people were thinking in the very beginning, and because they really haven't released very much information, and they're basically just kind of trying to pull apart what they have told us so far, and I really hope that's not the case. I hope they just kind of keep adding to the library that we can get to, and maybe there's an enhanced version, that's like 1 or 2 a month that you can access or whatever with the online features and stuff like that they've talked about. But I really hope that it's just like, okay, this game is only available for the month of July, and that's it, because that'd be ridiculous. Don't put a lot of work into stuff like that to bring it over and then only make it available for us for 1 month.
Not only that, but there are some big titles, like say you have like Link to the Past or Super Metroid, and someone starts it at the end of the month because that's when they finally have time, and they're halfway through and then the game's gone. Like that's the surest way to piss people off. Like, people do not, as a nature, we do not like to lose things. We like to keep things and hold on to them. And if you give it something, let us keep it. The other thing is, what do you guys think about payment? Like, what if they do a traditional virtual console? Will they make us pay for Mario 3 for the 4th time? Will they finally let us, like, hey, you've bought this game before, like, you can keep it, like all other systems have, an account lock as opposed to a system lock. With our Nintendo IDs, we'll be like, all right, you bought this game, now it's yours. Like, you don't have to rebuy it on every single system you get. Will they do something like that, or do you think they'll still be stuck in the past?
I think they're supposed to transition into that. From what I was reading, because I felt like this Nintendo account was supposed to be this global thing now. So it's like it ties into your smart app phones, like the whatever Fire Emblem, Animal Crossing, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I think after, like, if you have to buy Mario 3, like whatever the last time, I think it should technically be able to be stored on your account to be brought to whatever the Switch 2.0, whatever is next after that.
Yeah, I see him probably going from whatever day that is forward. Unfortunately, I would really love for them to go backward and say, okay, you got this on the Wii U, and the 3DS. You can download it again. But I doubt that will happen. I would say probably from Switch forward. That's probably, if they start it, which, like Greg said, that they've kind of toyed around with the idea that it's probably going to happen. And if it does, I would see it starting with the Switch and moving forward, unfortunately. And I'll probably end up buying Super Mario Brothers again for like the 20th time in my life.
Right.
As long as they can make sure it's like only $1 upgrade fee from Wii U, then that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that I'd be okay with that too. I mean, if they did say, you can upgrade into the next one, I'd be okay with that. But it'd be even better if they just, ideal situation, they'd be like, oh, this is on your system and in your account at some point in the past, you can download it for free. That'd be really cool.
Right. So so I want to also talk about the holiday time, because I know there are a couple of titles that we know are in the works. We just don't know when they're releasing. For example, Metroid Prime 4, new Pokemon game, things like that. Out of those types of games, what do you think is coming this year, and what's coming later on? Bayonetta 3, like other games like that. Like what's 2018 and what's beyond?
No, I think I don't know for sure, obviously, but if I were Nintendo, I would really push Pokemon for 2018, because that's really, and I would probably hold off on it because we just got a new one for 3DS at at the end of 2017. So I put it off. I put it right before holiday, and that'd be huge for them to go into the holiday with a brand new Pokemon game on Switch. I think with Bayonetta, I don't know. I wonder how much that will really sell. I'm sure it's going to be a great game, but compared to something like Pokemon, it's just not going to sell that much. So I would see them almost kind of biding time with re-releasing 1 and 2 on the Switch this year and putting Bayonetta 3 off until 2019. And then, I don't know, I would really, I hope that Metroid Prime 4 comes this year, but that's more of a selfish thing. I think it's probably going to be something like Zelda. They're just going to keep putting it off till it's perfected, and they're going to wait as long as they need to make sure that is the game that they really want to release. And they're not gonna push something like that. So it'd be really cool if they come out this year, but I doubt Metroid would hit the Switch this year. But Pokemon, it would be very wise of them, I think, to make that a holiday release.
Yeah, I was kind of going along those same thought lines. I was kind of thinking Bayonetta 3 more maybe like September, August type of thing. So it's kind of like a pre-holiday, kind of looking at little before the quite holiday part. I think there's some kind of connection how they're doing 1 and 2 like early on this year to get kind of caught up, and we can check out 3 later this year. I definitely see Pokemon as being the November title for to launch the Switch into the 2019. And like you, I would love to see Metroid Prime 4 this year, but I think realistically it's like whatever 2021 or something, like off in the distance. It's like, oh, Metroid Prime 4 is now in development, so it's not like it's like concrete. But going along that line, I do think there's a good chance we'll see Metroid Prime 1, 2, and 3 either released in like 2019, repackaged or remastered, whatever.
Yeah, even if they just take the what they did for Wii U and just plop it over the Switch again, like that would it'd make a lot of people happy, and it'd get a lot of people potentially that maybe didn't play the original ones and do it again, similar to what they're doing for Bayonetta.
Yeah.
See, I'm going to be completely out there. I'm going to make a bold prediction right now. I'm going to say that Fire Emblem, Pokemon, Metroid Prime 4, and Bayonetta 3 are all 2019 titles. And this holiday, instead, we're going to get a brand new Animal Crossing out of nowhere, Pikmin 4, because it's been in development for a while, and the big holiday title is going to be whatever Retro's been working on since DKC Tropical Freeze, because they've been way too quiet for way too long, and they're doing something, and that's going to be the surprise holiday title, along with a few ports like maybe Mario Maker or something like that. I think that's going to be the 2018 lineup. I think all those other games, Pokemon just coming off Sun and Moon, from that team is just a year off of it, because Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon was a secondary team. I don't think they're going to push out a brand new Pokemon within 2 years, where there's 3 Pokemon games in a row. Plus, they're going to be working on a brand new engine. It's not just going to be like Sun and Moon, which was using the X and Y Omega Alpha engine. It's a brand new engine. So they're going to take their time. That's going to be holiday 2019, my prediction. Metroid Prime 4, it's a new team working on it. It's not Retro. I think, like you said, like Zelda, they're going to make sure that's out there and that's good. We just had Metroid Samus Returns. They announced it pretty much to keep people happy. They announced it very early. That's going to be 2019. I think Bayonetta 3 has the biggest potential to be out this year, but I do think that they're going to want to take their time with it. And as far as I'm aware, that's the only project they're working on. So that very well could be completed. Otherwise, it'll be an early 2019 title. And then Fire Emblem, there's still another possibility, but they just did Echoes. They just had Fire Emblem Warriors. They Fire Emblem Heroes. We just had 3 Fire Emblem titles last year. I think they're going to take a break from Fire Emblem, work on it. Again, a brand new engine. I don't think it's going to use the 3DS engine from Awakening or Fates, and it's going to come out in 2019. So because Nintendo likes to keep things close to their chest. They've done it before. Remember the N64 holiday title was Diddy Kong Racing that was announced like 1 week before it launched. They've done this stuff before. I think they're going to do it again because the Switch has so much momentum. If we already know these titles and then they say, surprise, here's a whole new lineup for 2018 and all those titles are being pushed to 2019, it would be like, okay, well, we got all these great new titles in 2018. And so that's my prediction. I'm going to be bold. I could be completely wrong, but that's my prediction.
No, I honestly actually kind of think I agree with Barry and where he's going with it, because I think, like he kind of outlined, I mean, I feel like Bayonetta 3 would be a great title, because it's Bayonetta 2, from what I remember, people really enjoy the game, but it's not a huge system seller or anything like that. I feel like it's a good game to kind of just keep the momentum going in like a early year time frame, just like how Bayonetta 1 and 2 are coming out in February. Throw in Bayonetta 3 into early 2019, I'm not super familiar with Fire Emblem in terms of the releases and that sort of thing, but I think Metroid Prime 4 was early. They just showed us a logo. I think it's still going to take a while, and Pokemon's going to take some time also, because with Pokemon, they tend to announce those things then like in the springtime or so. So, I mean, we would have to get an announcement in the coming months. I just don't think they're ready for something like that. I know they're pushing for it, but I feel like there's enough to pad things out. And where I sort of see the trajectory going is I think we're going to see like a late spring, early summer-ish online service launch, Smash Brothers. I think maybe a late summer, early fall Mario Maker kind of a thing. And then your like November holiday, like Animal Crossing. I think that's going to be the trifecta for this year in terms of sales, because Smash Brothers is going to be a seller, Mario Maker is going to be a seller, Animal Crossing is going to be a seller. And I feel like Animal Crossing, because the mobile game came out, every mobile game they've had so far has had a release come from it as well. Fire Emblem had a Fire Emblem game coming, Super Mario Run, there's Mario Odyssey. Pokemon Go isn't necessarily, the same situation, but we technically had another Pokemon game, there as well. And now Animal Crossing. And I think that's because of the next one. And I know they're working on a Zelda mobile game, but I think that got pushed back because they probably wanted to focus on other games now to get the hype going, get people interested, and then hook them in. And Animal Crossing has been a big system seller as well. So I think those are going to be kind of your main games, plus the unknowns. I mean, there's a lot I think Nintendo has up their sleeve that we just don't know about, like Retro's game and so on. I think we're going to be surprised. Yeah, Pikmin 4 as well. Yeah, sorry. So that's another one I do think is coming this year, I think. Now, the question is, what's going to be announced in January versus what they're going to wait to announce as well? That's the other thing.
Yeah. I think the only big reason why the other really big thing that I would disagree with you guys on is because I really don't know if they would announce and release a Smash Brothers game that quick. Usually it takes a lot longer. Where we know that Pikmin 4 is coming up, we know the Pokemon game's coming up, and I feel like they told us that because they're coming sooner. It'd be really surprising if they just announced Smash Brothers and then it's out in the next few months. I see that taking longer, because that usually does take longer.
Well, and that's why I think that's why I think it would be almost a port, but with a couple of new things to it, because then we'd already know what's in it. There's not much that they need to hype up. It's more, here's a couple of the new characters in the initial trailer, and then maybe in the next direct 2 months later they kind of reveal more stuff, and then the game's out 2 months after that, or something like that potentially.
Yeah.
Now, what if they do the Nintendo World Championships again in the summer, and let's say, and at the end they have a surprise trailer with Smash to announce for 2019, let's say, like just to get your blood pumping, or even in the
final game.
It could be the final game, or just in the last direct for the holiday, just end with that, like the Smash logo, and just say coming 2019, get ready, because like you're talking about with the online, Smash needs the online there. Pokemon needs the online there. If they release Pokemon without online, without trading, without online battling, that is a huge misstep. So these titles need online. So until the online is there, these titles are just not coming out. They're not going to do it, and they're going to want the paid online for these. Splatoon 2 was a test. Okay, it works. People play. ARMS was a test. It works. Pokken Tournament, again, a test. those titles are not setting the world on fire. Oh my God, I have to pay for Nintendo Online to play these games. Smash and Pokemon are two titles that are guaranteed to get people to sign up to play online. So until that online is out, and it has to be steady, because if that online comes out and you pay for it and it craps out, it's going to be like Brawl Online. Remember Brawl Online? It was terrible. So they can't afford that. They can't have that. Not in 2018. So those titles are definitely, in my opinion, held off until that online infrastructure is up and running, for sure. Like, even if the game is done, they're going to hold off because they need that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and I guess so. In terms of what we think, if there is this January 11th direct, like this Thursday, like what is coming from that direct? Like what would they announce? In my mind, I sort of envision it like this. I kind of have it playing out in my head of it opens up and you see like a scene out of Animal Crossing, and you see the character going. They have almost like a little mini trailer, and then boom, they announce Animal Crossing 2018. That's all they say, right? Then they go into, okay, let's talk about more details on the games we already know. Kirby, Yoshi, give us release dates, so on, that sort of thing. And then I see that, now I'm going back to my Smash thing, but I see it ending with a one more game, Smash logo, boom, there's Ice Climbers, that sort of thing. Smash Brothers will be launching with our online service. Stay tuned for a Nintendo Direct next month or something, talking about the online service in more detail or something like that. I really think this direct is going to focus mostly on the games in the first half of the year, but I think they will tease a game or two that's going to come in the holidays, like Animal Crossing or something else. Like I think we're going to get some kind of tease, not much, but something.
Yeah, I agree. There's definitely got to be some kind of tease. Something small. Doesn't have to be, they got to leave the big teases for E3, but just something small. But I'm kind of curious if you guys think that 2018 or 2019, do you think we're going to get the revival of a dormant Nintendo franchise? Whether it be a popular title like F-Zero or again, Star Fox, if you want to count that, or a lesser known title like Eternal Darkness or Geist or Wave Race or 1080 or Mach Rider or Ice Climbers or Kid Icarus coming back. Like, do you see at least one of these titles getting a second life or a third life for some on the Switch in 2018, 2019?
I personally do. I don't know what, but I definitely think this is the time, and Nintendo seems to be willing to delve back into their previous library of titles and see what they can do with it. I think they've proven with Zelda and with Mario that even with their true stable franchises, they're willing to try and reinvent things a little bit. And I think that they're going to go back and delve into that. I don't know what exactly, but I think like I mean, we've seen WarioWare games frequently, so I wouldn't say that's like an old franchise, but I think we'll get some kind of like a WarioWare kind of thing. I know they've talked about really wanting to do a game this year that takes advantage of the Switch's unique functionality, like with the IR sensor and all sorts of stuff. I think they said 2018 they're going to have something that does that. So
Switch
that could be, yeah, maybe something like that. I do also want to mention in the chat, Sergeant Bilby mentioned he wants to see Puzzle League and or Meteos make a surprise comeback. That would be fun, So I think those could potentially be some interesting games. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think of the ones you listed, I was going to think F-Zero or Kid Icarus would be towards the top of the list, but I don't know. I think Miyamoto was quite aware that people want F-Zero games, so I would think that they're trying to get that one kind of rebooted. And Kid Icarus kind of makes sense because you can almost port the 3DS game or something like that, and rework some of the controls and the engine around that. So I would think that that would be kind of an easier one to do.
I dropped from the call, so I completely missed everything that Barry said. So I apologize if I say anything, but it sounds like you guys are talking about like revisiting old franchises and stuff like that.
Yeah, in 2018 or 2019.
Yeah, I think it'd be really cool. I think it'd be really awesome to see some of these games that we haven't seen in a while, or you know, especially if they're if they're not doing some sort of virtual console, it'd be really cool to see newer versions of them. Like F-Zero is one of the ones that like the fans have been clamoring for forever. And this is crazy. What if they came out with an Earthbound, a new Earthbound game? They just like, instead of like, oh, we have to have Mother 2 or Mother 3 or whatever, like actually here's a brand new one, brand new engine, like looks like the old thing, but is brand new HD and everything, similar to, you know, some of these other really cool looking RPG games that are coming out now. That's redundant, RPG games. RPGs that are coming out from some of these other companies now. It'd be really awesome. That's a shot in the dark. It's probably never going to happen. But it'd be really cool if it was, and I think a lot of people would be really excited. But just in general, I think I just to go back to what you said, Hassan, earlier. I think your setup for the Nintendo Direct, if it does happen, I think I think the very same thing. I think it'd be they could really lead in something like Animal Crossing or something like that. Talk about the stuff we do know already, and the other thing I would say probably I would see like Mario Maker at the end instead of Smash Brothers, and I think they're going to probably focus a lot on indies. I would see them just really continuing to push the indie developers this year, and some of those might cross over with the old stuff. They may have indie developers that they've been talking to and saying, hey, here's some of our old franchises, like Barry's been talking for a while, and say, hey, you know, here's some old franchise, we haven't done anything with it for a while. Here, take it, update it, make it new. You have all our you know, our love and support and everything, and you can, you know, stamp your name on it alongside Nintendo, and that could be a really cool way for them to bring some of this old stuff, make it new again, and also partner with these indie developers that could really help them and develop their skill set as well.
That would be smart.
I was just gonna say it would be a really Nintendo thing to do, to announce a Mother 4 and just skip Mother 3 completely. It would not happen, but that would just be a very Nintendo thing to do.
Well, see, Steve, what you were talking about is almost like the GameCube days. If you think about it, you know, they gave Retro Metroid, they gave Amusement Visions F-Zero, they gave both Rare and Bandai Namco, or just Namco at the time, Star Fox. They were a little bit more lenient with their franchises. Silicon Knights with Eternal Darkness, End Space with Geist. They were free with what they were doing, and it gave such great GameCube games. They're heralded as the best on the system, and I think we could see that. And if you remember when the 3DS was announced, they had that really awesome video where, you know, Iwata and Reggie were all picking up the 3DS, and all different things were flying out of it. There was R-Wings, which was hinting towards Star Fox 64 3D, and there was the Master Sword hinting to Ocarina of Time, and Bowser to Mario 3D Land, etc. I think if they did something like that, like, thanks for a great 2017, here's 2018, and just had the Switch there, and just had stuff flying out of it. Had an R-Wing for a new Star Fox, had the Blue Falcon for a new F-Zero, had a Mach Rider come out, an Excite Bike come out, have you know, Isaac from Golden Sun come out and bring that back. You know, just start bringing these franchises out, because they like Sega are sitting on so many franchises that they're not touching. And the biggest criticism that people have of Sega is Sonic. Where's Panzer Dragoon? Where's Jet Set Radio? Where's Burning Rangers? Where's all these crazy franchises that you used to do? Nintendo is the same thing. Nintendo has a ton of great franchises that haven't been touched. And when they are touched, they are again heralded as classics. Kid Icarus Uprising was beloved. You know, F-Zero GX was beloved. You know, bring these things back. Star Fox Zero didn't get that same thing. They screwed that pooch on that one. But, you know, bring these franchises back and bring them to the masses. You have the audience that you had at the Super Nintendo days. You have that audience again. Those people are clamoring. The Super NES Classic is a prime example of it. It sold out. Why? You're bringing these things like Punch-Out. Punch-Out was great on the Wii. Where is that franchise? That franchise has been dead for how long? Bring it back. That was a great franchise. It was on the SNES Classic, and it was on the NES Classic. Bring it back. Like the mobile, this is a great way for them to rejuvenate that interest. And with Nintendo hot again, with Nintendo on top again, granted in terms of, the momentum, let's capitalize on that. Like it'd be silly not to. You have 40s and 50-year-olds and even 20 and 30-year-olds that weren't talking Nintendo suddenly like, oh man, I got a Switch and it's great, and I love Zelda and I love Odyssey and I haven't played a Mario game in forever and this feels so great, and bring that nostalgia back. They are like Disney. They have us all by the censored here because they can do that. They will say jump and we will say how high with some of these franchises. They are beloved to us and they've been dormant. Bring them back. We want them. The masses want them. I love Zelda. I love Mario. Nintendo has more than those two franchises. Look at Metroid's reaction. Everyone went flipping nuts when Metroid Prime 4 was announced. And then Samus Returns as well. Why? Because we were starved for a Metroid game, and Federation Force doesn't count.
Right.
I think we're trying to get off track from the Direct at least, because this is obviously
Oh no, that could be at the
too
Direct.
big,
That's my
but
prediction. That's what I want to see at the Direct, starting 2018 with a bang.
But you forgot our little handheld friend, the 3DS, that will be sharing some of this time with.
No, the Kirby,
Really?
that's it. It's done.
Really? I'm interested to see, like, if they even mention 3DS, like, more than just, one game at the Direct at all this year. I'd be very surprised if it takes any time at all, actually, at E3. They may try to squeeze out any little last bit they have at the beginning of the year, but I'd be really surprised if they even, mention it at E3. So maybe, this Direct might be the last time we even hear of any new 3DS games coming out that they really want to push. I mean, they're going to hold on to some stuff and it's going to still have some life in it for maybe another year or so. But I think they're going to really stop really hard, like pushing it hard. Maybe this might be the last Direct that they do that with.
I disagree.
Yeah,
I think they'll probably do 2 Directs. Like a Switch Direct and the 3DS Direct. They've done it before. Or they'll do that headline thing. Here's 3DS headlines, now here's the Switch stuff.
Right. You're like, bam, bam, bam. Okay, the rest of the time Switch, yeah. I think if they hit it, it'd be small.
Right, yeah. But I do think that like that will happen probably for January, but I think by the time E3 comes around, I don't think we're really going to see much of 3D. I think like the first half of the year, whatever 3DS releases and stuff, they're going to get that kind of stuff out the way. I think by the end of the year, the 3DS is going to be I guess the only situation where I can see the 3DS continuing in some capacity is if they dual release games where there's a version that comes to 3DS and a version that comes to Switch. But then again, they're pretty different systems. It's not the same as like Zelda, how that came to Wii U and Switch and that sort of thing. I think they are, I mean, the 3DS has a huge install base, so they're going to want to take advantage of what they have. But I think at some point, they're also going to want to make sure they don't mess up with Switch because they have a really good thing going there. And Nintendo has not always been able to put the best focus on 2 different systems at once. They have not had a good history of that. And I think they're going to start to sort of focus one way with the Switch. The one other thing I did want to mention that I don't think anybody has brought up as well that I think will happen this year is Super Mario Odyssey DLC. I think they haven't announced any DLC for it, but that game obviously sold really well, and I feel like it's a game that works perfectly for DLC because you throw in a couple extra worlds. You don't need to like explain anything in the story. It's not like Zelda how it has to fit into the timeline of it all. Like it's just add in a couple extra worlds and oh wait, you just opened up a box and it unlocked some random thing and then boom, that's it. Like that's there. You don't need an explanation for more worlds in Mario. And so I think that would be perfect to kind of keep that momentum going as well. Plus, Nintendo also tweeted something the other day that I don't know what it was about, but they tweeted something from Super Mario Odyssey that had a little parrot, and they're like, you know, the parrot that like helps you find moons and stuff or whatever. And they tweeted something, yeah, and it was like, oh, if you look real close or something, there, he's teasing something. I forget what they said, and I was like, are they just talking about Super Mario Odyssey? Like, if you find, the parrot, then he'll help you find power moons, or are they trying to tease something else? I have a feeling it's the former. Maybe I feel like I'm looking too much into it, but that got me thinking, like, this would kind of be perfect. What if they open up? And then again, I already had an idea for how they're going to open up the direct. But what if they open it up with it's a choose your own adventure, however which way it goes.
There you go.
What if they open up with Super like Mario and you think it's New Donk City or something, and then he opens up some portal to another world, and then I don't know, like who knows? There's so many things they can do with it.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool for sure. I think DLC for like you said, Mario Odyssey makes sense. It's something I haven't even really thought about actually until this moment, but it does make a lot of sense, and I think it will continue to give that game life and longevity. There's already a lot there because there's so much to collect and everything. Barry, how long did it take you to collect everything? You put in like what, 130 hours?
50 to 55 hours.
55 hours. So that's a long time for most gamers already. But then you add DLC, that's going to be even more. A lot more longevity to that game, which would be really cool. And I wonder too if Nintendo will ever do like Xbox and PlayStation have done with the Game of the Year editions or whatever. And so like they'll re-release the game to give it another new life again with all the DLC, all in there together or something. Yeah. If it's like, but with the DLC in there now too. So that could be cool to give that game even more life, like re-release it next holiday season. Hey, look, bam, it's out there again. And now it's got the DLC packed into it for you guys that haven't picked it up yet. Here's it for $10 less or something like that.
Yeah, that would be interesting because they haven't really done. I mean, like with Animal Crossing, granted these were free updates, but they re-released Animal Crossing New Leaf with the Amiibo version or whatever. So granted that was free updates, but yeah, I mean, potentially, I feel like that would be an interesting thing to do.
I thought that's right. The Zelda edition was going to be for Zelda, and I was really upset to find out it wasn't.
Yeah,
like I thought, right,
that's what I was going to say. The Explorers edition.
Yeah, it's kind of like what Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was. I mean, it was a different system, but that sort of thing. Like they re-released the game, but stick all the DLC in there. So it'd be really cool if they continue to do that sort of thing with future releases. I think it really could give them, like I said, longevity with some of those games. And some people are going to wait on it and pick it up later. And with a game like Mario Odyssey, you can. You're not going to miss out on anything because it's a single player game. So you can pick it up a year or 2 years from now, and it still be just as good as it was day one.
I agree with that. Speaking of two things about DLC, another thing for 2018, no one mentioned, is two big 2017 titles have DLC still coming this year. Mario & Rabbids has new story content coming this year, and Xenoblade Chronicles 2 has new story content coming at the end of the year. So I do think Nintendo will use both of those things to help pad out a little bit extra, like they did with Breath of the Wild, how they ended the year, at the Game Awards, like here, DLC. So those are things coming. As for your question about 3DS and about Switch and 3DS versions, Hassan, I don't think they're going to do that. I think Fire Emblem Warriors was an anomaly with that as a Switch 3DS. Anyone who's played it has said stay away from the 3DS version, play the Switch version. It's much better. And no one ever talks about the 3DS version. It's almost like it's almost there. Like if the Switch had failed, at least we didn't waste our time. We have a copy on the 3DS. Maybe that will sell. But now the Switch has proven itself. There's no it would almost be like holding a game back to make sure it worked on the 3DS. And we don't need any more holding back. We need them to run, full power ahead. In fact, the 64 gigabyte cards were just delayed, which upsets me. I think that's actually a misstep. That's already going to start holding back, especially third parties who don't know how to optimize. We don't need any more holdbacks.
Yeah, that was really disappointing when I heard about that, because I mean you get a lot of potential there when they start releasing those. And I think it's already unfortunate because you got some games, like some gigantic games like NBA 2K18 that really could have benefited from that sort of thing, but you had to have a huge download and like you have to have an SD card, and that's just, I mean, it's not that big of a deal because they're coming down in price, but it's a hindrance. It's a roadblock or a speed bump for a lot of people And especially other developers are not even putting out games because they're probably waiting on those cards because they know their game's a lot bigger, and that was really unfortunate when I heard that.
Yeah, I'd rather pay an extra $10 and have it all on the card than have to do this download and then buy more SD cards.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Nintendo definitely has some magic with their games and getting the download sizes much smaller compared to third parties. I don't know. They truly have like Nintendo like fairies or something that do this. I don't really understand it, but
that's the game that's coming out this year. Nintendo Fairies. It's like Nintendogs, but you can.
There we go.
I think
the killer app for 2018.
They're more on the lines of the super mushrooms.
Right. So I think we'll probably start to wrap things up. Any final thoughts on this sort of Nintendo Direct or 2018 in general? Anything else anyone wants to add?
I can't really think of anything other than just I'm excited to see what it is, because I think right now it's kind of is we know very few little things, so it'd be really cool. I want to be surprised, like every time I want to be surprised, but now I think is a really good opportunity for them to surprise us because we don't know very much. Going into some of the ones at the end of 2018, we knew a lot of stuff. This time we don't really know much, so this could be really good potential for surprising us. So I hope they do.
As much as I really want to be surprised, I still think the pessimistic approach is going to be like it's going to be like whatever Kirby, Yoshi, and maybe like 2 or 3 surprises, and that's probably about it. And it's probably tie around with the service launching with some sort of online game.
Maybe that would be a good enough surprise for me. They actually give us a date they stick with.
Yeah, I think the Direct is going to be a safe Direct. I think it's going to have Kirby, Yoshi. I think it's going to have Bayonetta 1 and 2 again. I think it's going to focus on pretty much January, February, March. Rocket League's going to be shown there. Lost Sphere is going to be shown. Things we know that are coming out. Blade Strangers might be shown, maybe in the headlines thing they do. As for what you just said about 2017, Steve, I didn't know anything going into 2017. I don't know what you knew. All we had was that 3-minute video on the Switch. We didn't get anything till the January, presentation. So going into 2017, we didn't know much at all.
Not going into 2017. At the end of 2017.
Oh yeah, at the end.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna end on one bold prediction. Another one. I'm going bold. I'm thinking outside the box. Sometime during this year, there's going to be an announcement that Microsoft and Nintendo have come to an agreement, since the Xbox One isn't selling as well and that the Switch is handheld and not competing, that they will work with Nintendo to bring Rare stuff and new Rare games, with Nintendo and Rare working together for the Switch. Possibly Switch and Xbox One, because they're saying screw exclusives. Everything's on Windows and Xbox. Let's get some Rare Nintendo love back. I think it could happen. Let's make it happen 2018. There's my bold prediction. Another one.
I think this is the point of the night where I think we've gone a little too far, and I think people are getting a little delusional, maybe. No, I'm just kidding.
I wonder what kind of juice there is.
It was worth it for Steve's face. I'm sorry.
That was a very bold prediction. That was like I don't know, like
in the beginning, I wasn't even sure where you were going with that. I was like, are they going to say like there's this full partnership or what? I was like, where is he going with this? How bold is he going to go? I can maybe see that they allow a Banjo-Kazooie to be remade or something on Switch, but I doubt any new things are going to be coming.
Hey, you know what? When they bought Rare, there was a lot of Game Boy Advance games made because Microsoft wasn't in the handheld. And you know what? The Switch could be looked at a handheld, and maybe with new talks. Maybe they want some of that money. Remember, Microsoft's a company, and if the Switch is selling really well, and they say, we can play off that nostalgia too. What if we threw a Banjo or a Conker on the Switch, and it sold 3 million? You know what? Microsoft's going to be making money on that.
That's true. They do have a new CEO, so he's more about doing what they can to make money than some of the past ones were. So who knows?
Give me GoldenEye 64 and it's a deal.
No, they don't own that anymore. That's
virtual console right here.
No, the so I guess we'll wait and see what 2018 has in store for us. I think the best thing is to keep expectations low and be surprised when things happen. 2017 was
always
a pretty amazing year, and some would argue one of the best years Nintendo has ever had. And so it'll be hard for 2018 to follow it up. I think Nintendo has some stuff up their sleeves. We'll have to wait and see. I don't think it's going to be. I think especially when we're talking this January Direct. I think what everybody's saying, keep expectations low, maybe a couple surprises, that sort of thing. But I think they'll focus on the early part of the year. I think there were a lot of like sensational headlines out there of 18 unannounced games listed on Amazon. And I think that was absolutely ridiculous if anybody saw those news stories, because if you actually looked at it, there were multiple like $60 things, but then some $100 and so on. So there could be multiple collector's editions or not, or there's so many permutations of all that. I really don't think that means much. I think there will be something new in this Direct. There has to be. Otherwise, why have a Direct if there's nothing new? But keep expectations low. Maybe one small thing. We'll have to wait and see what happens.
You did mention that thing. I don't think we've mentioned it yet about the fake video that came out about the system update for the Switch and everything. I think some of those, like clearly it was fake, but I really got excited about some of those things that were supposedly shown off from that. And it'd be really cool if even if they didn't have, all of that stuff sort of thing, it'd be really cool to know what the next system update is going to be. And some of those things we've been waiting for, even if it's, it's as simple as folders and themes. I'd be happy with just themes. That'd be really cool. We have them on 3DS. We have them all the time. Every week we're getting more and more themes. Be really cool to stick a different theme on my Switch. So maybe that's enough surprise for me. I just feel like give me themes on my Switch wallpaper. I don't know. Right.
Just give me folders and then we're set.
Yeah.
No, I that fake the firmware update video, whatever. I will say the way that they tried to like incorporate all those features, I thought fit really nicely with the UI. Like if that was real, I would love the way they seem to incorporate a lot of that stuff. So it was really well made. But yeah, that's unfortunately pretty fake, it seems. So, but we'll see what Nintendo has in store for us in 2018. If they can ever even get their online service and stuff off the ground, we'll see how that goes. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight for this episode of the NintendoFuse podcast. As is tradition, stay tuned for a Nintendo Direct announcement probably tomorrow, and then a Nintendo Direct potentially on Thursday, as the rumors suggest. So you can thank us for the Nintendo Direct, because we do the podcast, you get a Direct. That's how it works. But thank you guys for listening. Thank you to everybody that joined in the chat as well. It was great seeing all your comments tonight. And have a good night. We'll see you guys next week.
See ya.
Night.
Night.